everybody erupted in jubilation, which is how the league sees the Cowboys, who didn't even make the show this morning. Let's talk some Packers and Vikings. Some called this a mismatch. The Vikings disagreed. Despite a monster game out of Aaron Rodgers, 291 yards, 3 touchdowns, Green Bay could not stop Dalvin Cook, and that was the difference. Dalvin Cook on fire. 226 total yards, 4 touchdowns for the do-everything running back as the Vikings shocked the Packers. This one at Lambeau, by the way, a 28-22 win. Mike Vick back with us now. Mike, you surprised Aaron Rodgers and the Pack lost to the last place Minnesota Vikings yesterday?
Very surprised, but I know in the NFL on any given Sunday, Monday, Thursday, like we always say, you can lose, and you gotta go out and earn it. You gotta put forth your best effort and pull out games. Nothing's gonna be given to you. But if I'm the Green Bay Packers, I got to look at my defense overall and say, what are we lacking? What are we missing? Because to give up 163 rush yards to Dalvin Cook, even though he's a dynamic player, you still got to find ways to combat that, because teams are going to be looking to run the football against you for the rest of the season, the best way they can. And before the trade deadline, I would be trying to find a run stopper, somebody that I can plug in the middle and help out, in the run game, defensive run game. And if you can't do that, it's going to be a long, miserable season for you. And Aaron Rodgers is going to spend a lot of time on the sideline watching the clock tick down as opposed to being on the field generating offense. So they got to find a run stopper somewhere, because right now that's the Achilles heel for this team. It's been that way for the last 3 years.
Yeah, Mike, I absolutely surprised, what's going on in Green Bay. But when you look at the box score and you see the rushing stats, and then you see 5.1 yards a carry, then you realize how they lost this game. If you run the ball this way, you're probably going to win 90% of your games. When you can dominate a team up front, it's demoralizing. And that's what Minnesota did. They went to Green Bay and they just handed them their lunch. They took their lunch. So when you look at this, yeah, there's so many conversations we can have. You can also talk about what's going on that offensive side with Aaron Rodgers. What happened? What's going on? But defensively, like Mike, like you said, that's the biggest question mark. There's no way you can win and win consistently in the National Football League giving up that many yards from scrimmage. You can't do it.
All right, Brandon, 2 points here. One is I have to start with an apology. America, on Thursday, I told you to take the Packers in a teaser, and that ended terribly. The only way I can show how repentant I am is, trust me, it cost me too. I am shocked the Vikings won that game, but maybe I shouldn't be, because of these following numbers. Follow me here. 0 pass attempts, 23 carries, 2 catches, 13 tackles, 0 offensive line snaps played. That is the combined season-long contribution of the 2020 Green Bay Packers draft class. And America, while we were all saying, why'd you draft a backup quarterback? Well, right after that, they drafted a 3rd-string running back. And right after that, they drafted an H-back tight end. And right after that, they drafted an offensive lineman who's on the practice squad and a linebacker who can't play. Hey, you know who maybe would help that run defense, Mike Vick? Patrick Queen. He's playing pretty well in Baltimore. You know who might help that defense? Willie Gay. He's playing pretty well, a 2nd-round pick taken after A.J. Dillon in Kansas City. The Packers, we focused on the wide receiver and the quarterback. Last year, why could they not beat the Niners? Because the Niners were bigger and tougher and stronger, and they couldn't stop the run. This year, the Bucs beat them up because they were bigger and stronger. And Wilds, Dalvin Cook just ate like Zeke in his heyday on them, and they had no answers. And part of that is because they are getting less contribution from this year's draft class than any team in football, Kevin Wilds.
But Nick, what do you want them to do? I know that we like to bang on the Packers draft class and drafting Jordan Love, but you want them to go out and make like major moves right now, or we just want to keep complaining about their draft class? Because if they don't go out and make a major move, it feels like Aaron Rodgers wants some offensive help. Then I still think they're a very good team. But I don't think they're
just
like,
added up.
I think
the Steelers
they're bemoaning more. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the teams that think they can win the Super Bowl are making moves. Yannick Ngakoue just got moved. Carlos Dunlap just got moved. Overnight, the Steelers added linebacker from the Jets for a 6th or 7th round pick. That guy, by the way, goes from 0-7 to 7. No, bully for him. So teams that think they can win, Vic, they're making moves. They are trying to supplement their team, Jenna. And so, to me, that's a big problem for the Green Bay Packers right now, and it started back at the draft.
All right, Nick, let's move on to yesterday's Baltimore Steelers, Ravens, and this one lived up to its billing. Pittsburgh rallied 21 second-half points to take the late lead, then a 4th down stop to seal the win for Pittsburgh. Steelers now remain the only undefeated team in the NFL at 7-0. Mike, Steelers proved they're the best team in the NFL by beating the Ravens yesterday?
They certainly proved they're one of the best teams. I think they're so well-rounded on both sides of the ball. There's nothing that they can't do. And I'm extremely happy for Big Ben Roethlisberger being back, looking like he's having fun and total control. And you can just tell that this team feeds off his energy. So if you look at the remaining schedule for this team, barring 1 or 2 games, and if they want to play Ben in week 14, 15, 16, after they done clinch, this team could go 16-0 if you look at the schedule.
There we go, Mike.
Nah, that's a wild point.
Man, I picked the Steelers to win the Super Bowl, to go to the Super Bowl, excuse me. But they did not prove that they're the best team. They have a lot of work to do if they want to dethrone, Nick, your Kansas City Chiefs. Also, you have the Seattle Seahawks out there who's playing really well, just got back on track, and also the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So are they the best team? I don't think so. But yesterday was a good win because it was a gritty win. It was nasty. It was ugly. And sometimes those wins are better than going in there and blowing out any other team. So I like what they did as far as how they got the win, but they didn't do anything exceptionally well yesterday. They didn't throw the ball exceptionally well. They didn't run the ball exceptionally well. And even on the defensive side, the thing that they do well, they didn't do well yesterday. They gave up how many yards on the ground? That was bad. This is one of the best front sevens in the NFL, and they just got
but Brandon, that was against one of the best run teams in the NFL too. So I expected a little give and take right there.
Brandon, I think you've got a long career in sports media, but you have a very short career as being a publicist for the Steelers, who are now 7-0 for the first time since 1978. You picked them to go to the Super Bowl, and your big takeaway is the Steelers aren't that good. They're not pretty much good at anything. I'm out on the Steelers, by the way, to the Super Bowl. Mike, you mentioned it, and then we'll go to you, Nick. Well, no, I'm just saying. Their last 3 games for the Steelers, Bengals, Colts, Browns. If they have the division clinched, locked up, Big Ben's an old man. Who knows how that surgically repaired arm and shoulder is working? Do you think they should go for 16-0 or rest them like Lamar last year?
Getting ahead of
You sit Big Ben down. Mason Rudolph getting some real quality reps right now from the sideline. He should be vicariously learning. So he'll be ready for those last 3. He should be. But no Big Ben out there at the end of the season. We leave Big Ben on the sideline to the playoffs for that run.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, all right. Everyone take a deep breath, okay?
16-0.
First, I want to give props to everyone take a deep breath. A deep, cleansing breath. First, I want to give Brandon props because even though he's not pimping his own take, I'll do it for him. He's the only person I knew outside of the greater Pittsburgh area that picked the Steelers to go to the Super Bowl. They just had their best win of the year, and Brandon's pointing out the flaws. It's baffling to me. Brandon, you got to promote your own picks better. That's first of all. Second of all, 16-0 is not going to happen. But even if they're 15-0, I don't know that they would even be in position to rest people because the actual best team in football might be 14-1 at that point in the Kansas City Chiefs. And so to answer Jenna's question, we're in a position right now in the NFL, Jenna, that is very similar to the position the NBA has been in the entirety of the last decade, which is We know who the best is, so the debate is about who the second best is. And sometimes you get a trophy for that. In the NBA, very often you get an MVP trophy, even though we know the best player is LeBron. We know the best team's the Chiefs. Everyone knows the best team's the Chiefs. You know how I know the Chiefs must have played great this week? Because they're not being mentioned on the show one time. And so that's the standard they're at. I will say this about Pittsburgh, though.
They played the Jets.
I do think they are the closest competition to the Chiefs in the league by far. They have a top 3 coach, a top 3 defense, and an offense that has the ability to be excellent, even if it's not consistently excellent. So I think the Steelers are a great team, and there's no shame in being the second best team in the league in 2020, Jenna.
Yes, yeah.